talk button. It gives you volume in
Good. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the Subcommittee on Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Workforce Development. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize the ranking member, Representative McGarvey, to lead us in the pledge and a prayer. Thank you, sir. I now call the Committee on Small Business to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare recess of the committee at any time. I'd now like to recognize myself for an opening statement and appreciate you all for being here. And I welcome those of you on our panel to the subcommittee. First, to each of our witnesses, thank you. We recognize your time is both valuable, and I hope you know we appreciate you spending time with us and look forward to your testimonies. The current labor shortage in the United States is disproportionately affecting small businesses, with 40% of small employers unable to fill job openings as of August. This crisis is exacerbated by economic pressures from the Biden-Harris administration, with many businesses struggling to find qualified talent amid rising costs and inflation. The construction, healthcare, and automotive sectors are particularly in need, facing significant deficits in skilled labor that could hinder growth and increase project delays. These on-the-ground issues small businesses face are exacerbated in rural and underserved communities like certainly the ones I represent in upstate New York. Now, the labor shortage is not confined to small employers, as we likely know. The broader labor market is facing one of the most challenging years in recent history. Contributing factors include an aging workforce, with projections indicating that 41% of workers nearing retirement by 2031 will lead to a substantial loss of institutional knowledge. Additionally, younger individuals are entering the workforce at a lower than expected rate. Many workers laid off during the pandemic and economic shutdown are unwilling to return to jobs lacking remote work options, reflecting a shift in employment and employee expectations. And despite these challenges, I'd note that people with disabilities still represent an untapped workforce. This subcommittee has spent some time focused, in fact, on this population. Their participation in the labor market has surged since the pandemic, with 1.8 million joining, bringing their employment rate up to 25%, the highest in 15 years. Organizations like Community Options, Inc., represented here today, are crucial in providing training and job placement, partnering with major companies to support individuals with disabilities. Hiring these workers not only promotes inclusivity, but also boosts workplace morale and results in lower turnover and absentee rates. Now, for me, that's why we introduced the Think Differently initiative and Think Differently About Disability Employment Act to help small businesses address accessibility issues for employees with disabilities, encouraging the hiring of those with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities, and help entrepreneurs with disabilities succeed. We were proud to see this piece of legislation pass the House, and I was also proud to co-lead the Entrepreneurs with Disabilities Reporting Act alongside Ranking Member McGarvey to better understand the challenges entrepreneurs with disabilities face. And we were provided a wonderful magic show here before the committee, and we appreciated that. Addressing the skills gap through workforce development is essential. Traditional education paths may not suit everyone, and we know this, and skilled trades offer viable alternatives. Combating the ongoing labor shortage by supporting our skilled trade schools and apprenticeship programs is a bipartisan effort. And I worked alongside my colleagues and fellow Small Business Committee member, in this case Representative Skolton, to introduce the Honoring Vocational Education Act, which ensures individuals who attend job training programs, trade schools, union apprenticeships, and other like programs are recognized as obtaining a post-secondary non-degree award. Additionally, I was proud to co-lead the Small Business Workforce Pipeline Act to help small businesses offer more apprenticeships and on-the-job training opportunities. Now, in order to alleviate the labor shortage and support small businesses, it's vital to harness the potential of people with disabilities and to also promote skilled trades. By focusing on these areas, there's potential for significant improvement in the labor market, ultimately benefiting both small businesses and the broader economy. First, want to thank our witnesses again for joining us today. Look forward to the conversation ahead. And with that, I yield to our distinguished ranking member from Kentucky, Mr. McGarvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing us together today to discuss how we can tackle one of the most persistent challenges that faces small businesses and our economy. That's the workforce shortage. Everywhere I go, I bet it's the same in your district too. Everywhere I go, we're hearing the same thing. Small business owners are struggling to find and keep qualified workers. It's not just anecdotal, though. There are survey upon survey upon survey confirming that finding workers is the top operational challenge facing small businesses. More than inflation, more than supply chains, more than regulations. This isn't new. Even before the pandemic, there were workforce shortages, particularly in the skilled trades. Part of the problem is the long-standing misconception that the only path to the middle class is through a four-year college degree. Unfortunately, we know that college, while right for some, is not right for everyone. But our focus on college has led to a chronic underfunding of career and vocational training programs that would help fill those jobs in the highest demand today. Thankfully, over the past few years, we're doing better. And we're seeing real investment in workforce training and apprenticeships and a surge in interest by young people. For instance, apprenticeships have more than doubled over the past decade, helping younger people earn while they learn and enter high-paying jobs without shouldering the cost and the debt of a college degree. In Kentucky alone, we have seen a 144% increase in apprenticeship enrollment in the last decade. That number continues to grow. Programs at the high school level, such as career and technical education programs, are gaining popularity as well, and they help students develop skills that can guide them into apprenticeships on traditional education pathways. Because of their newfound popularity, the biggest problem with these programs is now finding available instructors rather than convincing students to enroll. It's time for Congress to invest in career and technical education so that we can reap the full benefits of our investments in transformative legislation like the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act. These laws create millions of jobs, but those jobs require specific skill sets, and we must ensure that we are providing the training needed to fill them. Apprenticeship programs, too, are not only essential for training workers, but offer avenues to entrepreneurship. For apprentices interested in starting their own businesses, union trainers can help them access courses that introduce them to the management side of the industry. While I'm optimistic about the progress we've made, we know there is still a long way to go. Other industrialized nations are investing far more in workforce development than we are. The U.S. currently invests less than $20 billion across 43 federal employment and training programs, less than 0.1% of our GDP, while our peers are putting up 5 times that amount. Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act programs, the backbone of the federal government's workforce development efforts, are both underutilized and underfunded, and, since 2019, unauthorized. Earlier this year, the House overwhelmingly passed the bipartisan reauthorization of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and we hope to see the Senate follow suit soon. Any of you who are sports fans will understand what I mean when I say that our workforce development system, like the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville basketball teams, is in a rebuilding phase. But with the right investments and approach, we can build something stronger that meets the needs of our economy, supports small businesses, and gives every American the chance and opportunity to get ahead. Building the workforce of tomorrow begins with our investments today. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. McGarvey. For the record, as a New York Mets fan, we're always in the rebuilding phase. This may, however, be our year. Somebody knows a little bit about sports as well. Let me recognize this distinguished gentleman from Texas, chairman of the full committee, Mr. Williams.
Well, thank you, and I don't know if this is the year for the Mets. Don't get too, they're close right now.
It's never the year for the Mets.
Good morning, and I want to thank my good friend Chairman Molinaro for holding today's subcommittee hearing to discuss our nation's current labor shortage and workforce development issues. To start off, I'd like to thank our witnesses for being here. Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time to come out and contribute to a very important discussion today. And to put this simply, Main Street is facing a dire labor shortage, with 90% of businesses reporting few or no qualified applicants in August. Industries like construction are particularly affected, with the projections showing the need for over 500,000 additional workers annually. And this is why it is more important than ever that we promote skilled trades to grow our economy and combat the workforce shortage. These jobs are not only in demand, but also allow people to learn a value skill without needing to take on tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt in order to get the proper training. So additionally, there is another segment of our population that has been overlooked as we look to have more people enter the workforce. And people with disabilities are very entrepreneurial and can add value to many businesses. We've already heard about the first hearing we held where Congress, where we had a 16-year-old Drew Davis come before us to talk about his story of creating his own hot sauce company. He has cerebral palsy, but he did not let it hold him back as he pursued his dream. His story was inspiring, and it showed that with a little help, anyone can be an entrepreneur in America. So I want to again thank Chairman Molinaro and the ranking member for bringing the committee to attention to these workforce issues that are affecting Main Street businesses, and I look forward to today's conversations, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me now introduce our witnesses. First with us here today is Ms. Ashley Gamba. Ms. Gamba is the Executive Director of Community Options, Inc., located in Binghamton, New York. Founded in 1989, Community Options is a nationwide nonprofit organization that develops housing and employment opportunities for people with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities. Since its founding, Community Options has expanded their services to over 10 states, partnering with local governments to provide employment opportunities across the country. Throughout my time in public service, I can tell you that Community Options has been a leader and a voice for our disability community, especially throughout Broome County in New York State. One of the organization's most memorable events is the annual Cupid's Chase in Binghamton, which brings together our community and support for those with disabilities. From hosting job training events to building out their new pharmacy technician workforce program to creating an internship program with Legends at Yankee Stadium, Mr. Chairman, Community Options empowers those with disabilities to meaningfully contribute to Main Street and lead more independent lives. Ms. Gamba has been with Community Options, Inc. since 2017, when she began as the State Director of Employment Services before moving to her current position last year as Executive Director. Ms. Gamba attended the University of Buffalo, where she earned her Master's of Science in Vocational Rehabilitation Counseling, and I'm certainly grateful to you for joining us here today for today's discussion. Our next witness is Mr. Frank Stento. Mr. Stento is the Director of Business Development and District Council Number 4, Painters and Allied Trades, located in Binghamton, New York. District Council 4 represents 2,000 active and retired men and women in 33 counties throughout western and central New York. Representing those in the finishing trades, District 4 has been a leader in providing high-quality work-based training programs for those seeking a career in the trades. Mr. Stento has been involved with District 4 since 2018, where he began as Business Development Specialist. In addition to his position as Director of Business Development, Mr. Stento serves as the President of District Council 4 Local 178 and is Vice President of the Binghamton Oneonta Building Trades. Mr. Stento earned his Associates of Arts and Science and Workforce Development and Training from Mount West Community and Technical College. Big fan of community colleges. Thank you, sir, for joining us today for this conversation. And now let me recognize Ranking Member McGarvey to introduce our last witness before appearing before us today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our final witness today is Mr. Neal Strange. He is Director of Education at the Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters. 3 states, but one gets a little more emphasis there from us. And he's part of the Joint Apprenticeship and Training Fund. Mr. Strange is a 15-year member of the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America and currently serves as Director of Education, overseeing the operations of 9 training centers across Indiana and Kentucky. These centers support over 4,000 apprentices as well as the continuing education program. Mr. Strange is himself a graduate of UBC's 4-year apprenticeship program and holds an Associate of Applied Science in Construction Technologies and a Journeyman Carpenter designation. After working in the field, he transitioned to a career in education, becoming a full-time instructor in 2022. Thank you, Mr. Strange, for joining us today. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. McGarvey. We appreciate you all being here today with us. I do want to extend our appreciation to the staff of the Small Business Committee and, of course, our 2 offices for coordinating today's hearing. And before recognizing the witnesses, let me also remind each of you that your testimony today is restricted to 5 minutes. If you see the light turn red in front of you, it means your time is up, and Mr. McGarvey gets very, very anxious. If you should wrap, and to the extent you can, please just wrap up your testimony at that point. And with that, let me recognize Ms. Gamba for your opening remarks. Thank you.
Dear Chairman, can you hear me? Yep. Dear Chairman Williams, Ranking Member McGarvey, members of the U.S. House Committee on Small Business. As the Executive Director for Community Options New York, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to provide written testimony or verbal testimony to the U.S. House Committee on Small Business regarding workforce training programs that are available to help small business owners expand their labor pool. Over the past year, we have supported over 5,000 people with disabilities, including 2,100 people receiving employment services, assisting them with developing the skills needed to obtain and maintain meaningful, competitive, integrated employment. Community Options has had the opportunity to develop innovative training programs in partnership with numerous businesses to assist with positive employment outcomes for people with disabilities across New York State. We have partnered with Legends at Yankee Stadium to provide hands-on integrated training in the following areas: merchandising, food service, customer service, and retail. By providing work readiness training to assist participants with building the soft skills related to employment, hands-on experience to develop transferable work skills, and on-site training and support, we have successfully placed over 200 individuals in paid work experiences that have resulted in 80% of placement in competitive employment settings. Additionally, through partnership with the MBA Foundation, Community Options has received funding to provide training and employment supports to minority youth with disabilities across several states. This funding has enabled us to identify youth with disabilities and provide work readiness training, career exploration counseling, job placement, and job coaching services. This couldn't be done without our small business partners, local businesses and organizations that have assisted with allowing us the opportunity to provide on-site training and job coaching supports to the individuals that we work with. Most recently, we've had the opportunity to partner with CVS Health to provide retail, front and back store, supervisory training, and a Department of Labor funded pre-apprenticeship training program for farm technicians or pharmacy technicians. Through this partnership, we've had the opportunity to build a career readiness center offering hands-on training to further develop the transferable work skills required for competitive employment. In our ever-evolving economy, it has become apparent that hiring to meet the needs of many small businesses has proven to be difficult. In a recent survey conducted by SCORE, more than 50% of small businesses reported that it was very or somewhat difficult to fill open positions, citing it's been most problematic to find skilled or qualified workers. Additionally, according to the Society for Human Resources Management, approximately 97% of HR professionals and 92% of people managers say that employees with disabilities often perform at the same or better level than their coworkers without disabilities. Yet this population often faces significant challenges when attempting to obtain meaningful employment. As always, we're very thankful for our small business partners who work closely with our agency to provide employment opportunities for people with disabilities. We encourage small businesses across the country to partner with local agencies to increase the availability and accessibility to training programs designed to train and develop the skills of this underrepresented population. And we also urge Congress to continue to strengthen funding for the vocational and pre-apprenticeship opportunities for both youth and adults with disabilities.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that very much. I now recognize Mr. Stento for your 5-minute open remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Williams, Chairman Molinaro, and esteemed members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the invite to give testimony today on my experience with registered apprenticeship programs and and how they can impact positively workforce development moving forward. So I have a great deal of gratitude for my organization, the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, for the small business owners, also known as the subcontractors, who employed me out in the field, for my instructors and journey workers that supported and trained me to become a skilled craftsman, and then to my mentors that challenged me and took the time to help me develop. What do those all have in common? The workforce model of a registered apprenticeship program, which has a rich history in the United States and it has a bright future to come. Like many others before me, this system provided me an opportunity, a purpose, and the tools to achieve success. Apprenticeship in the skilled trades offers a unique opportunity to gain hands-on experience while earning a living. Unlike traditional classroom education, as Ranking Member McGarvey said, an earn while you learn apprenticeship allows you to gain knowledge by working under the guidance of experienced professionals in the industry. Practical training ensures that you develop the technical skills necessary to excel in your chosen field, whether it's plumbing, electrical, carpentry, or like myself in the finishing trades. This leads to full-time employment, providing a clear path to a stable career without the burden of student loan debt. The other four-year degree is what we commonly reference, a registered apprenticeship program, although the time frame, depending on a craft and curriculum, can be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Beyond the technical skills, apprenticeships also foster personal development. They teach how to work in real-world environments, solve problems on the spot, and communicate effectively on job sites and beyond. These skills are invaluable across many areas of life and make apprentices highly sought after by employers. Furthermore, the demand for skilled tradespeople continues to grow, offering long-term job security and competitive wages. With the abundance of mega projects on the horizon, combined with a workforce that is aging, there's an urgency to get new candidates in the pipeline to sustain the industry for those small business owners long-term. An apprenticeship not only builds expertise, but sets the foundation for a rewarding and sustainable career. In apprenticeship school, our instructors teach hands-on applications and best practices. A large component is dedicated to health and safety to minimize accidents in the field. There's conversations around tools, equipment, and technologies in the craft. Training around financial literacy, social skills, the history of the trade, and advances in the industry are also incorporated. We complete mock-ups in-house for repetition in the craft and perform projects for nonprofits in the community. After apprenticeship school, there's a huge focus on journey worker upgrading, as we have an obligation to maintain our reputation as the most highly skilled, safe, and productive workforce performing our crafts. We have an online learning management system with hundreds of courses to choose from, including blueprint reading, estimating essentials, and project management. This helps with the retention of our workforce, and the constant training makes those involved more employable. The way we have our apprenticeship set up is called block training, which is 4 full weeks a year during months of January through April. The rest of the apprenticeship is made up of on-the-job training with our contractor partners and our skilled journey workers. A high-paying and sustainable career with benefits in the construction field is the ultimate purpose of a registered apprenticeship program. With continued education and training opportunities, additional pathways can be accessed in the industry. Some of the best and brightest foremen, superintendents, project managers, contractors, and the list goes on, came through an apprenticeship program and had field experience. I completed my apprenticeship in 2016. I received 40 college credits through an articulation agreement with Mount West Community and Technical College, which I'm grateful for. I then finished my associate's degree. I was running projects in the field and started instructing part-time through our district council, which then eventually led to a full-time staff position in business development, also known as organizing. Now one of the best parts of my career is seeing others come in and find similar success and watching their trajectories and life change. An apprenticeship program is a great way to start a career, as well as a necessary system to continue the pipeline of skilled journey workers to business owners. Any opportunities that we have to increase apprenticeships will greatly assist the challenges surrounding supply and demand that dominate recent conversation in the industry, while simultaneously raising up those middle-class workers. I thank you for your time and look forward to questions.
Thanks, Frank. Mr. Strange, for your opening remarks.
Yes. So good morning, Chairman Molinaro, Ranking Member McGarvey, and members of the committee. Thank you for your opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Neal Strange, as addressed earlier by Mr. McGarvey. I am the Director of Education for the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters Joint Apprenticeship and Training Fund. Also a 15-year member of the UBC and a graduate of the program myself. I'm here to provide an overview of our apprenticeship program and the continuing education we offer to our members. This program is not just about learning a trade. It's about ensuring our members are equipped with the skills and knowledge needed to thrive in an ever-changing industry. Our council consists of 38,000 members within Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio, and over 550,000 members across the United States and Canada. We represent the carpenters, millwrights, pile drivers, and floor layers who are building our country's bridges, highways, manufacturing sites, hospitals, schools, and power production facilities. At the core of our training philosophy is the belief that our contractors must remain relevant and prepared for both existing and emerging construction markets. To achieve this, we partner closely with contractors, manufacturers, and local universities to meet their specific needs. Together, we provide a robust training curriculum that emphasizes both productivity and safety, ensuring that our members deliver high-quality product on every site. One of the greatest strengths of our program is that all training is provided at no cost to the individual members. Funding for our programs comes from contributions made for every hour worked on a job site by our signatory contractors. Nevertheless, we lift the financial burden off of those contractors, allowing them to focus on project execution without worrying about additional expenses related to training workers and ensuring their workforce has the proper certifications necessary for specific jobs. Our members benefit from a top-tier education, while our contractors benefit from a highly skilled workforce. In terms of compensation, our apprentices are paid on a scaled wage basis. The wage structure provides apprentices with fair compensation as they build their skills, which further incentivizes retention and productivity. This model also allows our contractors to remain competitive in the market while employing highly trained and motivated workers. We offer multiple pathways into our program, creating accessibility for a diverse group of candidates. We have partnerships with high school career and technical education programs, adult education initiatives, state and county reentry programs, and military veteran organizations, such as Helmets to Hard Hats and our own internal military veterans program. These pathways ensure that we are tapping into a wide range of talent, allowing for diversity and inclusion in our workforce. In the past 4 years, our apprenticeship enrollment has grown by 40%, reflecting both the demand for skilled labor and also the increasing awareness of the opportunities our program offers for career growth and development. Current enrollment across our 3 states totals more than 6,900 apprentices. This includes 22% minority enrollment and 6% female enrollment. From the moment an apprentice begins our program, safety becomes an integral part of their education. Beginning with an OSHA 10 certification and continuing throughout their apprenticeship, safety protocols are embedded into every aspect of training. A safe worker is an effective worker, and this foundation is key to the longevity of their career and the protection of our job sites. For members who aspire to further advance their careers beyond the apprenticeship, we offer additional pathways into leadership roles, project management, and business ownership. Whether a member seeks to move into superintendent or management positions or has an entrepreneurial spirit and wishes to start their own contracting business, our continuing education resources equip them with the skills and confidence to succeed. We recognize the importance of nurturing leadership from within, and our specialized programs allow our members to thrive in roles that require strategic thinking and operational oversight. Our program's reach extends well beyond training the individual. We play a crucial role in economic development by placing our skilled workers on the jobs that span from small business ventures to large-scale national projects. For smaller contractors looking to explore new markets, we provide access to a pool of well-trained workers who can meet the demands of these new opportunities. Meanwhile, larger contractors, particularly those involved in mega projects related to the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, also benefit from our training programs. Since 23, more than 4,500 members within our 3-state council have been employed in projects stemming from these acts, including Intel, Ford Blue Oval, and numerous renewable energy projects covering solar, hydro, and wind. These initiatives require a workforce that is both large and highly skilled, which our program delivers. Since our inception in 1881, the UBC has organized the membership necessary to meet contractor and end-user needs. Our privately funded training keeps us ahead of the curve. We understand that if our signatory contractors are not successful, we will not be successful. We have no seniority in our collective bargaining agreements, and no contractor is bound to employ a member they find unproductive. This competitive environment is necessary for our success, and this is done at no cost to the taxpayer. In summary, our apprenticeship program and continuing education initiatives are designed to support both our members and the contractors they serve. We provide cost-free, high-quality training that focuses on safety, competitiveness, career advancement, and long-term development. By doing so, we help drive economic growth, foster innovation, and build a workforce that is ready to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Well done. Thank you. Appreciate all of you. We'll begin the question round under the 5-minute rule, and with that, I recognize myself for 5 minutes. Ms. Gamba, I want to start with you. We've talked about this extensively, certainly acknowledging that since the pandemic, nearly 2 million Americans with disabilities have joined the workforce. It's a 28% increase from pre-pandemic levels, yet, as we all recognize, approximately 70% of those with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities remain unemployed and outside the workforce, and that's obviously both a challenge and an opportunity. Could we start by just talking, if you would, what are some of the challenges that business owners either articulate or face when hiring those with disabilities, and what steps might we take to make that transition into the workforce easier for the employer?
I think they're often worried or concerned about the stigma or the liability of hiring somebody that might need additional supports. As an agency, if we're going in to provide any intensive
You can continue.
onto our liability insurance, which will kind of, I guess, alleviate some of the concerns that an employer may have.
Those supports through likely support staff and what have you, what are the challenges then the agency faces in providing that support?
Employers may be concerned about having the individuals on site. They might not communicate very well, allowing us to provide any intervention that may be needed, and then workplace accommodations. There is often a concern about any money that a small business would have to spend.
So why don't you tell us one of the benefits, or at least we identify the benefits that an employer would see by bringing in and ultimately employing an individual with a disability?
I think that it helps with turnover. The individuals that we put into different small businesses have identified that they have the skills for the job and the interest in working there. So if we are in there helping with any intensive job training or supports, they tend to remain employed for longer periods of time, and it reduces turnover.
Thank you, Ashley. Frank, let me say this without question. The skilled trades are the backbone of upstate New York.
Thank you.
And frankly, you all contribute both to our economy, keeping our neighbors employed, and I'll say, making sure that projects are staffed and by New Yorkers and not employment from out of state or out of country. You talk a lot about, and of course, Mr. McGarvey acknowledged the earn while you learn apprenticeship model. Can you just expand a little bit on the benefits of registered apprenticeships? And within the time I have, what steps can we take to expand access to and support those registered apprenticeship programs?
Sure. Thank you. One thing in addition to what I had already mentioned in my testimony would be our apprentices are starting to gain contributions towards their health care and towards their retirement. In addition, they have structured pay raises that we work with the New York State Department of Labor throughout their apprenticeship program as they progress through that. They have eligibility for employee assurance programs. And then the biggest thing that I would say an advantage for an apprentice coming in would be they're building up a skilled craft that is that is in very high demand, highly marketable, and once they learn that skilled craft from our journey workers and our small business owners when they're out in the field, there's nobody that can take that away from them. They're going to have the ability to go and provide for themselves and their families for the rest of their lives. So one thing that I will say that something that our government partners could assist with would be looking into more apprenticeship language on all projects moving forward, which would incentivize our small business owners, our contractors, to increase the ratios of apprentices on projects upcoming.
Thank you for that. I will say in local government, the first step we took was to require apprentice language in our major contracts, which just enhances the pipeline and gets folks from maybe K-12 right into the workforce and prepared. I do want to note before acknowledging Mr. McGarvey, the more usual than you would imagine bipartisan support for both trying to advance those with disabilities into the workforce and the trades on the ground. And with that, let me acknowledge Mr. McGarvey for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of the witnesses for being here today, for your incredibly thoughtful testimony. We really appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Strange, who came up here from my region of the country, and Mr. Chairman, you talked about how the trades are the backbone of upstate New York, and certainly in Louisville, Kentucky, we feel the same way. I say it all the time, Louisville's a union town, and truly, from the fact that every Ford Escape and every Ford F-250 and above is made in Louisville, Kentucky, and that our baseball bats and even our bourbon are made with union labor right there in Louisville, Kentucky, and we appreciate all that the Carpenters from Local 175 do for our city and our community. With Apprenticeship's proven track record of success, I think that's important here. We're not talking about something theoretical. We know that these apprenticeship programs work. It seems that it's a wasted opportunity to not continue investing in these programs. So I'm excited to have this hearing today to uplift these initiatives, as the chairman said, in a bipartisan way. Mr. Strange, I'm going to start with you. How has the increased availability and popularity of the apprenticeship programs changed the calculus of young people who are looking for the next step, and what are you seeing on the ground?
Well, as I addressed in my opening remarks, we've seen 40% growth in 3 years alone inside of our apprenticeship programs. We're seeing more and more involved at the CT level at the high schools, increased partnerships at high schools, and also other entry-level pathways for us. So with that, we're just seeing more and more availability on more opportunities to grow. And also, we're seeing a better view of the general public on who we are and what we have to offer, especially with parents of children that are coming out of these programs. We actually do nights with them specifically to be able to explain to them who we are, why we're going to provide that safe work environment for their children whenever they come out. That's a big concern from parents, so we concentrate on those types of efforts.
I appreciate that. And, I think two things we've agreed on today, and that we know apprenticeship programs work. We know that small businesses right now need qualified workers. And so we're trying to get that done. When you are looking at the apprenticeship program, how many of your apprenticeship programs are your apprentices are going to small businesses to work in those sectors, and how are they kind of helping small businesses fill those gaps and meet their goals in terms of having qualified workers?
Yeah, so as Frank talked about earlier in his portion as well, with the larger projects that are coming along, that's offering opportunity for a lot of smaller businesses to step in. By us providing the skilled workforce for them to be able to have to go provide the workforce that they need on these projects, and then also the training that they need to be able to, and we're seeing a lot of job sites that have requirements on them for certifications for members to be able to hold. We provide that training opportunity for them and also provide that opportunity for that workforce.
And Mr. Stento, I'll go over to you as well. Mr. Strange just mentioned a 40% increase in their apprenticeship programs. Are you seeing similar types numbers in your area?
We are 40%. Excuse me. We are seeing significant increases as well. We actually just had our largest apprenticeship class since I've been on staff, which is over 6 years, about 250 apprentices that are going to be coming in for this coming school year. So there has been, and it's been intentional, right? We see the need to, with our retirees that are coming up with the mega projects, that we're going to have some urgency. It has to be strategic in how we intend to fulfill these projects. So there has been, yes, a major increase in our numbers as well, and other trades in the Broome County region. Some of our apprenticeship programs, the Carpenters up there, just in a little north of Broome County in Onondaga, just opened up a new training facility. Plumbers and pipe fitters are doing the same thing, all in anticipation of increased apprenticeship numbers, so that we are able to fulfill a pipeline to our small business owners in the years to come. And then these apprentices will eventually be the future of they are the future of our workforce and of the industry. And they will be able to, in a short period of time, relatively, have the skills necessary to be then mentoring and teaching the generation following them.
And thank you so much. As we run out of time, I will just underscore your point. You said that they are, in fact, the future of your workforce. We've got these major projects coming up, things coming up from the bipartisan infrastructure law, et cetera. But by being the future, we also know and agree that's the backbone of our community. They're the future of our community as well. So we appreciate that testimony.
Thank you, Mr. McGarvey. Let me now recognize for 5 minutes the gentleman from California, Ms. Chu.
Well, I want to thank all the witnesses for all your great work and putting people to work. So thank you for that. Mr. Strange, you've helped individuals from so many walks of life enter the job market prepared and trained in the incredibly important field of carpentry, which is especially critical for taking full advantage of the investments made by the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law. I believe local workforce training facilities are a key component to meeting this growing need and supporting our nation's workers. which is why I secured community project funding for 2 workforce development and job training facilities in my district. This includes the Pasadena Facilities for Jobs Creation, Training, and Education Center. It recognizes the fact that a 4-year college degree is not for everybody. And this will help connect high school age students to vocational training for so many different fields, including EMT training, automotive technology, construction and building trades, and even robotics. So I'd like to hear you talk about how community-based job training programs like this one can help support apprenticeship programs offered by unions like yours. How can these types of programs work together to help build a bigger pipeline into important trades like carpentry?
So one of the ways that we already have established in our area is that we can provide an articulation agreement along with them. So if they have the requirements met inside of their training facilities, that can be a direct entry pathway into our programs. So with that, as long as everything inside of those facilities is there in line, we work together to create that. We also provide a curriculum pathway to be able to provide for those that want with our own internal UBC designed program for that type of need.
Okay, that is wonderful. I'd like to have Mr. Strange and then Mr. Stento answer this question, which is, the work you do is a testament to the strength and importance of our nation's unions. Because Democrats passed and President Biden signed into law the landmark Inflation Reduction Act, so many new job opportunities in the green energy space have become available, which you mentioned in your testimony. And because the Inflation Reduction Act provided special bonus tax credits to businesses that pay prevailing wages and support registered apprenticeship programs on their projects, unions play a critical role in providing the specialized on-the-job training to apprentices on these projects. So can you talk about the role that unions and their workers play in developing the diverse and skilled workforce that our country needs?
I can speak to that one directly in our area. So first off, you addressed on there, because of the strong apprenticeship requirements on these projects, that has given our contractors a leg up on being able to, with the solar industry in particular, we've partnered together with many manufacturers that have come in. We provided the training that they have had for their specific products, and we've been able to meet the needs going out onto those. And currently, this year alone, we have produced over 2 million work hours in our 3-state council to be able to meet the needs on and because of those acts.
Okay, so in our industry, we cover two of the crafts that we cover, I think, would fall underneath this. Industrial coatings, bridges, tanks, water towers, which we have certifications for the coatings applicators as well as for the contractors that are performing these. And as you mentioned, part of some of these tax credits are tied into apprenticeships. So we are seeing an uptick in, from the engineers as well as developers working more in tandem with our signatory contractors. Another craft that we cover is glass, glazing, architectural metal. So you've got dynamic glass, you've got 179D tax credits that do have some overlap with that industry as well, green energy, total building envelope. So this is something that we have what's called it's a third-party certification, North American contractor certification on the small business owners side. And then with the actual installer, it's an architectural glass and metal technician certification. But you're seeing these specified in a lot more projects so that there's less rework, but also so that the design is intended, especially when you're looking for energy reduction, is completed by a competent installer and contractor as well. So we are seeing the architects working on those tax credits with our contractors.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Chu. We've gone through the first round of questions. We're going to actually just do a second round. I know Chairman Williams wanted to also ask a couple questions, so without objection, we'll begin a second round. We'll make that relatively quick for all of you. I'll start with Ms. Gamba. Just we talked a little bit about the pieces of legislation that we've worked together on, the Think Differently About Disability Employment Act, the Think Differently Small Business Accessibility Act, really trying to get the federal government to partner and use the resources it has to assist organizations like your own. If you had a magic wand, what would be the support or resources necessary to expand your workforce opportunity programming? Other than money, which of course we recognize is necessary.
I think that the onboarding process for many small businesses has to be more accessible. So I think if I could use a magic wand, that would be it. I think a lot of the individuals that we support in our labor pool are often not able to pass the initial assessments or anything that pertain to online onboarding. So I think that right now that would be my biggest barrier, and if that is something that I had a magic wand, I would fix.
Terrific. Thanks very much. Frank, just because you both come from my neck of the woods, what would you want folks at home to know about both the vocational opportunities, apprenticeship language, and confront at least maybe one or two of the, how shall I say, perhaps, I don't want to say stigmas, but observations people have about sometimes employing the trades. How would you overcome some of those, some hesitance in the community, and make those connections that would keep our friends employed?
Okay.
I think you know what I'm asking.
I am. I think I'm following. So as far as, we refer a lot of times not to, we discuss union labor, but local labor. So this is a smart way of our taxpayers to be spending their money. For every dollar invested with our local union workforce in our surrounding areas, it's having a direct impact in the community and the taxpayer base that are funding these projects. So that would be one way that I would dissuade anyone who was hesitant in utilizing union workforce. Back to the first part of the question, discussing the tax incentives and subsidies. Apprenticeship language, it makes sense. We're here talking about the lack of skilled personnel in the workforce in various industries, specifically for me, construction. So it would, to me, that would be a way to get more contractors hiring, putting apprentices on, boosting our ratios so that we are flush with skilled workforce 5 to 8 years from now.
Thank you, Frank. That concludes my questions. I'll yield the balance of my yield back the balance of my time. My colleagues, physically to my right, metaphorically to my left, are going to pass, and we'll acknowledge Chairman Williams for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And some of you may not know, but I played professional baseball for the Atlanta Braves. And notice I said some, and not many of you would know. There's a difference. But I did play with the Atlanta Braves, and there's really nothing that brings people together like the America's pastime. And Ms. Gamba, I noticed that your organization, we've talked about this morning, partnered with the Legends of Yankee Stadium to help people with disabilities find meaningful employment. So my question is, what types of roles are these individuals performing at the historic Yankee Stadium, and are there other opportunities your organization is exploring?
So Legends operates concessions at Yankee Stadium. So the individuals that we are placing there are working in merchandising, retail, and food service primarily. If we have any individuals that have a specific interest, such as maybe human resources, they've been open to putting them in internships in those sites as well.
Great, a lot of opportunities.
And I would love to get into the Mets, but that, and.
Well, there's your Met man
I know.
right there.
So that's
he's ready to
pretty
make a deal.
difficult.
That's a great program.
Yep.
I think MLB's familiar with it, aren't they? And Major League Baseball.
Well, Our partnership is with Legends, so that's all I can
Yeah,
speak
but
to that.
it could be something that could grow. That's very good. There's been significant shortage in skilled labor across the country for way too long, and when I was Secretary of State of Texas, we were always looking into infrastructure projects, but we kept running into the issue of finding enough welders and other skilled tradesmen to complete the projects. We actually lost a lot of business because we didn't have welders in Texas. Mr. Stento, I have worked with different community colleges around my district to emphasize their trade school programs. And so how do you think we should be promoting these options to young people so we can build up the skilled workforce and let them know there's options out there other than being a lawyer or an architect or something?
Thank you, Chairman Williams. I appreciate the question. It's something that over the last 2 years I've spent a lot of time within our district council working on, is increasing our branding and our awareness. And that doesn't happen with just one touch or one conversation with our youth. This has to happen early, and this has to happen often. I'm talking about getting in and speaking with youth in elementary school or even earlier, and working with them over the years, bringing an identity to what we do in the trades, to the projects that we work on in the community, to testimonials from those community members who would be able to speak to how these careers have helped transform their lives. So early, often, and getting in before you're discussing with seniors in high school who've already had time to make up their minds elsewhere.
We lose 100,000 kids a year in Texas who are dropping out of the 9th grade. And those are the kids we need to reach out to and let them learn a trade and be very successful in the economy.
I agree.
Yeah. Mr. Strange, I wanted to ask you a similar question. Can you talk about some of the work you're doing to try to get high schoolers who may not know what they want to do with their futures into the skilled workforce?
Absolutely. First off, real quick, I want to address the welding concern. We have 7 training facilities that we have CWI certifications inside of, and therefore provide the welding needs that are needed in our area. So if Texas is needing, we got them for you.
Tell them to call Governor Abbott.
So one of the ways, and we're actually in the season right now where we're doing this, we have open house events. So we are currently, yesterday we hosted one of our facilities. We have another one to follow tomorrow. As of right now, at 5 of our facilities to point this year, we have had over 2,500 high school students come through our facilities to be able to see and tour that. Along with that, we also do a program where we invite back those students that come. We invite their parents to come meet with us. We do an evening with them, and we tell them about the opportunity that we have, the career options that we have for their students to possibly enter into. We've actually even had some parents enroll in our program after they come and see who we are and what we do.
I'm sure you've already touched on it, Mr. Chairman, but we have a bill that basically in simple terms makes the state colleges show these kids what it costs to go to a state university as opposed to a trade school. Big difference, affecting student debt and all the things we hear about that come from that. So we need to continue to do that. And I don't think the economy is complete until we have a workforce that's complete with trades. And we'll never run out of that. So appreciate what you're doing. I yield my time back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate that. As a long-suffering Mets fan, if we never had to travel to Atlanta again, we'd be much happier. Just saying. With that, that concludes our round of questioning. I do want to thank all 3 of you for your testimony today and being here in Washington with us. Again, as mentioned, clearly bipartisan. Then this committee does distinguish itself under Mr. Williams, Chairman Williams' leadership in acting in a bipartisan way. So without objection, members have 5 legislative days to submit additional materials and written questions for the witnesses to the chair, which will be forwarded to the witnesses. The ranking member and I would love at the conclusion of the meeting just to take a quick photograph with our witnesses to show our continued support. If you would, to any written requests, we'd ask witnesses to promptly respond. And if there is no other business to come before the committee without objection, the committee is adjourned.